Manchester United have just been beaten 1-0 at home by Arsenal in the Premier League. You know what? I actually think we played all right. Like, the last 2, 3, 4 months has been absolute torture watching Manchester United. It's been depressing. It's been infuriating. It's been miserable. Like, you could keep going on with the words to describe Manchester United's recent performances. You're thinking 4-0 against Crystal Palace last week. Like, Burnley coming to Old Trafford and nearly winning. Sheffield United coming to Old Trafford and nearly winning. And I actually think today we played pretty well. I don't think Arsenal were much better than us, being completely honest. Casemiro was massively at fault for their goal. Other than that, they didn't really create anything, being completely honest. Now, you could argue that, effectively they had the lead. They probably were told Man United probably aren't going to score, just, defend well and you'll win the game. Maybe that's what was said to them. But it's difficult for me to sit here and be really, really negative. And, I've always been Erik ten Hag in. I back him. I think a lot of the players need to be moved on. And I think when you look at the two teams that were playing today, you had Casemiro at the age of 32 playing at centre-back. You had Johnny Evans, who was relegated with Leicester last year and then released from a championship-level club, playing as your two centre-back partnerships. And then you had Scott McTominay as the cam. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on. We were playing against a full-strength Arsenal squad. Look at Arsenal's bench. I genuinely think Arsenal's bench today is better than our first team, genuinely. And that's not even me being dramatic. Our bench today, the only two first-team players were Eriksen, whose legs are gone and needs to leave, and who was the other one? Anthony, who we never should have signed in the first place. So it's really difficult for me to sit here and, I'm not the type of person to play up to the camera and scream because we lost. I think we actually played all right today. I think a draw would have probably been the fair result. But in all fairness, a draw wouldn't have really meant anything for us by way of our targets for the rest of the season. We needed to win that game in order to have any real chance of finishing 6th or 7th. Obviously, we play Newcastle United on Wednesday. We're currently on level points with Newcastle United. So if we were to beat Newcastle, we would still be below them because of goal difference. So even if you look at it like that, Chelsea are on 57 points and Newcastle are on 57 points. So they're both 3 points ahead of us. But the issue we have is both of them have got much better goal difference than us. And it's impossible for us to catch up on the goal difference fronts in the last two games. So, I mean, the only way that we really get European football is if we beat Newcastle on Wednesday night and then we either win or draw against Brighton on the last game of the season and Newcastle lose. But I think, to be honest with you, I think we're going to finish 8th. I think we just have to I don't want to say accept that because obviously it's not good enough, but when you factor in everything, when you look at the team that started today, answer me this. How many of those players who started for Man United today would get in the Arsenal team? None, not one. How many would get in the Man City team? Not one. How many would get in the Liverpool team? Not one. How many of them would get in the Aston Villa team? I honestly don't think any of them would get in the Aston Villa team. How many of them would get in the Tottenham team? Maybe one, maybe two, and you could even argue that they wouldn't get in the Newcastle or Chelsea team. So I think being completely fair, the team that we have available to us at the moment with all of the injuries is probably an 8th place team in the Premier League. And I know it's frustrating. I know it's upsetting. If we had, Martinez, Varane, Luke Shaw at left back, you had Rashford in form, you had Bruno in form, you had Casemiro of last season in the midfield, you'd be expecting top 4 minimum, wouldn't you? But we're just not that team, are we? Let's see what people are saying. Get in the comment section. Smash a like on the video, everybody. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comeback King says, I thought Arsenal were going to smash us. Yeah, mate, they didn't, did they? Leon says, Ten Hag must be sacked. I don't really see how you can watch that game and think that Erik ten Hag should be sacked after that. I genuinely think we deserved a point. I genuinely think that was one of our best performances in the last 2 or 3 months. Genuinely. And that's not even me being dramatic. I honestly think that was one of our better performances that I've seen in recent weeks or months. Genuinely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Richard says, we don't have a real finisher. Rasmus Højlund is no different from Weghorst. I think it's maybe a little bit unfair. I agree. Rasmus Højlund has struggled this season. Of course, he has struggled. But he doesn't get the ball. Garnacho is just as greedy as Rashford. I think we have to realise that now. We have 2 wingers in Anthony and Garnacho who don't seem to know how to cross the ball. Rashford doesn't know how to cross the ball. I'll tell you what, though. Amad Diallo today, Looked really, really good. Went off injured though, so we've now lost Ahmad through injury. It looked like McTominay was injured. It looked like Johnny Evans was injured. We lost again 2 or 3 players today through injury, so it's a difficult one. I think the season just needs to end. We need to regroup. We need to get rid of, as I've said, 10 to 15 players this summer and properly rebuild the squad. I think that this result today, I know we lost, but I think this result today does give Erik ten Hag a bit more credit with Ineos, because we went toe-to-toe with Arsenal's best team. Arsenal don't have a single injury in their whole squad, right? Not a single injury. And we went toe-to-toe with them. And I genuinely think today we deserved the point. I don't think we deserve to lose. Arsenal had, I think, 1 chance. Let's have a look at the stats. I know people don't always like the stats. We had 54% possession. We had 14 shots to their 11. We had more corners, more like... I honestly think a point would have been a fair result for either team, but we are where we are. Where do we go from here? I think 8th place is where we're going to finish. As I said a couple of minutes ago, like that is probably the level we can get to now. Somebody in the chat is saying we should keep Amrabat. Amrabat played well today, but I don't think 1 game's enough to keep him. I think Amrabat is, 29 this year? I don't think he's good enough personally. What I will say is this though, right? What Erik ten Hag has tried to do this season is play attacking football, and it's backfired. What he probably should have done is played the same style of football as last year, which was park the bus, counter-attacking football. And I think if Erik ten Hag had have done that, I reckon we would have probably got top 4. But then at the same time, the fans would have said, why are we playing park the bus football? This isn't the Man United way. We want to play attacking football. So it's really, really difficult being the Man United manager, because he knows that if he parked the bus and hit on the counter-attack with Rashford and Bruno, as you know, we probably would get top 4. But the fan base will be like, it's your second season. Why are you still playing, negative park the bus football? We want more. And I think that's the difficult position that he's in. I think last year he did do that. We got top 4 and everyone was happy. But this year he's tried to be a little bit more outgoing, and I think it's really backfired. Comeback King says, congratulations to the women's team for winning the FA Cup. Yes, congratulations to them. Richard says, Erik ten Hag is a great manager. He just needs a fantastic striker to lead the attack. Someone in the mould of Victor Osimhen would do the job. If he can't get Osimhen, Mason Greenwood should come back. Yeah, I don't blame you. Sick Boy says, mate, what are you wearing? I'm sweating looking at you. I'll be honest with you, mate. I've got a vest on underneath my top. I've been wearing a vest all day. It's like boiling here in the UK, but I didn't really want to sit on my webcam wearing a vest. I just didn't really think it's much of a vibe. So I've been pretty much topless or wearing a vest all afternoon, and I thought I can't really go live wearing a vest or topless. Like, it's not really the vibe, is it? But Carl says, Amrabat played excellent today. Ten Hag should have put Wheatley for McTominay and then swapped Højlund for Eriksen later on. It didn't work. I honestly don't have any complaints with Erik ten Hag today. I think we went head to toe with an Arsenal team, with the manager who's in his 5th season, doesn't have a single injury, and is on the brink of winning the title. And we weren't dominated. I think 1-0 probably flattered them a little bit. I think a draw would have been fair. So, yeah, I'm not going to be angry tonight. I'm not going to go to bed miserable. Like, win, lose or draw, if Man United go toe-to-toe with another team, I'm somewhat happy. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but like, we're not the Man United of old where we expect to win every single game. That's just not realistic anymore. We're not that team. We haven't been that team for 10 or more years. So the minimum you expect is that they give 150%. I think all of the players today did give 150%. I think Casemiro was at fault for the goal badly. He didn't clear his lines, and they scored. So yeah, it's a difficult one. It's obviously a hard one to take, because I think, we deserved more than what we got, which is no points. But we have got Newcastle on Wednesday. We've got to now try and build on today's performance. It was a positive. In my opinion, the actual performance was positive. It wasn't like a terrible performance. 1-0 isn't a terrible result. I know we lost the game. I know we needed to win the game. I get that. But when you put everything into context, the injuries, you're going up against a strong Arsenal team with a manager who's been there for 5 years and has got kind of every single player he wanted in every single position, versus a team with a midfielder who's about to move to Saudi and playing as a centre-back, Johnny Evans in centre-back, you've got Dalot playing at left-back, you've got Amrabat having to play as a CDM, etc., etc. You've got McTominay playing as the cam. Like, what do you really expect? I mean, even from like really, really basic, from the first team players. You're missing Rashford, Varane, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Martinez. We were missing like 6 first team players, maybe more. So yeah, but I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be back tomorrow morning as usual at 11 a.m. If you have enjoyed today's video, please make sure to leave a like and comment and subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil. I'll speak to you all a bit later.